رضا پهلوی وارث تاج ایران، انتظارمون روز شاهیته، سر فرازیمون پادشاهیته. زن زندگی آزادی، مرد میهن آبادی، جاوید شاه جاوید شاه. این ملت آزادی میخواد، به جای غم شادی میخواد، ایران آزاد شکوه دیرین میخواد. زن زندگی آزادی، مرد میهن آبادی، جاوید شاه جاوید شاه. مردم ایران بازگشت تو را از خود میخوان، ایران آزاد میشه، شاه برمیگرده، این آخرین نبرده، پهلوی برمیگرده.
زن زندگی آزادی، مرد میهن آبادی،
جاوید شاه جاوید شاه.
این آخرین نبرد، پهلوی برمیگرده.
جاوید شاه
جاوید شاه.
پهلوی برمیگرده.
جاوید شاه.
Sam!
Hey, who are those people?
So Confluence, he's actually a Christian, and he's an interesting guy, and he runs a live stream open panel every single night from 6 p.m. Eastern for like 6 hours. And he gets people, and it's interesting. And like, I go on his and stream to my audience. I've only done it so many times, but like, it's more interesting than sitting here. I don't like just monologuing, you know?
Sure, I hear you. So you really think that the most likely outcome is that some version of the Islamic regime manages to hold on?
Yeah.
Man, they just seem so humiliated and weak. I know that they've probably done their absolute darndest to get rid of any internal opposition for a long time, and that's a big part of it. But I just don't see how they could come back from this.
So you're talking about a fanatical apocalyptic cult with a not weak following of millions of people. And a lot of those people are young men. And so they have all of the guns. And you have a country with lots of people who have learned helplessness over centuries, and a culture of learned helplessness among much of the population. And so Karim Sajidpour, I think his name is. I'm pretty sure that's who I'm thinking of. I might have the wrong name, but he apparently about a year ago wrote an article about the zombie regime, meaning the Islamic regime. And he gave, apparently, I didn't read the article, but I heard him talk about it. Yes, I posted this. Ki arya im yishag milo yira. Hey, Lance, how you doing? That is a paraphrase of Amos 3:8. When the lion roars, who will not fear? When God speaks. Uh, so, what were we saying? I was saying Karim Sajidpour. So he basically said he believes that the regime is a zombie, and I do believe it has been a zombie for a while. The problem is it's a zombie with a stranglehold on Iran. They have a real stranglehold on Iran. And I don't know there I mean, even the fact people are now talking about Pahlavi comes from having no option and being like, we got to do something. That is the only reason I see people talking, saying, yelling Javid Shah, etc., and the monarchist flag being flown. Is like people are like, this is not going to work, but they were mowing down people with machine guns. I mean, people don't want to be mowed down with machine guns, and
no,
it's not like the U.S. is going to go put down the IRGC and the Basij.
But people also don't being like shot by drones in their houses. So.
Oh, you mean the leaders?
The leaders, yeah.
These are people who are very glad to be martyred. This is an apocalyptic cult. These are people who are proud to be martyred. This is the reason why I thought, I understand why they struck Khamenei's compound. They basically had to. But I think if they could have killed everyone around him without killing Khamenei, probably the wiser move would have been to kill everyone other than Khamenei himself. Because he was 86. Why kill an 86-year-old man and turn him into the martyr he's been hoping to be his entire life?
It does make a statement.
Does make a statement, but you know what? Killing Mojtaba, his son, and apparently his wife got it too, which I kind of feel bad for her because I'm guessing she had no hand in anything. But killing Mojtaba, that was necessary. Killing Ali Shamkhani, that's great. Apparently the reason that the Israelis attacked when they did was the Iranians were basically doing this thing where like they were all hiding during the night, and then when morning came, that's when they were meeting because they were like, okay, now the threat is gone.
We're safe. Yeah, they only
we're safe. And apparently there were 2 meetings, and Israel hit both of them. And so from what I have seen, it looks like the entire Guardian Council is dead, which I don't celebrate anyone's death. But if I were going to,
But that sort of seems to leave the. But I don't know exactly what the alternative is. But listening to the history of the Iranian Revolution, which the Rest is History did recently, it was pretty amazing how quickly that movement kind of came into power. The
Shah decided, I am not going to murder people, and he left the country.
Mm-hmm.
Khamenei and his ilk are never going to leave the country, and they certainly don't care about murdering people.
Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is it didn't take very long for them to coalesce enough of a movement to even be a threat to scare the Shah. It seemed to happen over the course of a year or maybe even less. I mean, obviously Shia Islam had been in the country for over a millennium, but it's not like that political vision and version of it was like this latent insurgency that was decades old, like the Muslim Brotherhood or something like that. It seemed shockingly fast.
It was, A, I don't think it was that fast. B, I think if the Shah had been less of a Western leader, imagining himself as the father of the country, and he had cracked down like any other Middle Eastern leader would have, he would have stayed in power.
Mm-hmm.
He left, and he had cancer, and frankly, and this is Patrick Bet David's criticism of Pahlavi, of Reza Pahlavi. He thinks he doesn't want it enough, and he's right. Frankly, I think Reza Pahlavi feels like a noblesse oblige to go back to Iran, but he's perfectly happy living in the United States.
Yeah, it's hard to leave your mansion in Beverly Hills to get your hands dirty doing what it would take to be in charge. How about we send Patrick Bet David back?
Patrick Bet David, the problem is I don't think the vast majority of Persians would go for a Christian, especially not a particularly religious Christian, being the leader of Iran, but they might.
Weirder things have happened.
This is true.
Sometimes a religious minority in a religiously divided country actually makes a certain.
It's not a religiously divided country, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think the best hope we have right now, and I've been saying this for a while, is Hassan Khomeini, the grandson of the first Ayatollah. He seems to genuinely be somewhat a religious Shiite. I believe that he feels deference towards Ayatollah Sistani in Iraq, and Ayatollah Sistani is genuinely anti-theocracy, and having the Ayatollah in Iran be genuinely the type of person who believes like Ayatollah Sistani does, it might become a figure similar to the King of England as the head of the church, right? That might be the best way forward.
So you're hoping for the moderate faction of the Iranian or the Islamic Party, but I mean, grandson of the original cleric, that's no small credential. And then you hope that it would be more of a religion, a theocracy in name only, and kind of become more of just a republic, and they would drop the anti-Americanism and the anti-Zionism.
Yeah, so Hassan Khomeini was prevented from running for office by the current Guardian Council because he's too much of a reformist, which already is about as good as I can hope.
Mm-hmm. And that does seem to be Trump's MO, is he doesn't like getting his hands too dirty either, or putting too many lives at risk. Putting missiles at risk and busting things up, that's fine. But anything that takes more than a day's headline is not his favorite sort of thing. And he sort of likes a new boss similar to the old boss, but just they kind of defer to America instead of deferring to our enemies.
The question really is how many people, I mean, when the dust settles, how many people have been killed? How much has the IRGC been weakened? I don't know exactly what targets Israel and the United States have been hitting. I don't know how long they intend to keep this going. If we're talking longer bombing than the 12-day war, like that would have to be like the United States and Israel together bombing for longer than the 12-day war might seriously change things enough that I could see. Like the problem is Pahlavi. If Pahlavi could get the Kurds to support him, the Kurds have an army.
Yeah, and then they could connect with Kurds in Iraq or Turkey.
No. That would be a disaster.
All right, never mind. Don't do that then. For some reason.
Yeah, because if they were to do that, Iraq and Turkey and Syria would come in on the regime side against them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So recruit the Kurds to back the Shah's son.
The problem is, in January, Trump appointed this guy to be the head of the Voice of America Persian, Kurdish, and Baloch service, who has, for the past 10 to 20 years, been publicly feuding with Pahlavi, and he's a Kurdish separatist. And I'm like, I don't even understand that. But I thought maybe Trump was thinking, hey, we'll let the Kurds have their independence, but that would piss off Erdogan to no end, piss off the Iraqis, piss off the Syrians, which he might be willing to do. Israel would be happy with it.
Yeah.
But Pahlavi is not going to go for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And even Kurdistan is in such a pickle without any access to the sea, because they couldn't get their oil out through anyone but an enemy. And except for maybe if they could hook up all the way to Georgia or something like that, but it would still be. I mean,
Kirkuk has but that's obviously in Iraq. But Kirkuk has a port onto the Persian Gulf. Yeah, but that's actually even Kirkuk doesn't have a. Yeah,
right, because the Shias and the Arabs control the southern and eastern Iraq, and the Syrians control the Mediterranean part of Syria, and the Turks control the Mediterranean and Black Sea parts of Turkey. So the problem is that even some united Kurdistan, and I have heard that not even all Kurds seem to like all the other Kurds, but just imagining for the sake of imagination that they did, that they're a landlocked country, and so they would be in a similar position as Armenia, where it's very hard to make money, very hard to have access without being very dependent on neighbors who don't like you.
It's so crazy to me that Israel is friends with Azerbaijan but not Armenia. If Armenia and Georgia were smart and had an alliance.
I don't know why the Armenians and the Georgians don't get along better. They're both Christians. They both don't. Well, Armenia, I think it's because Armenia has been backed by Russia, but now Russia is a useless backer anyway. So I don't know why Armenia and Georgia don't try and get along better.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is also the Christians in the Middle East. They're they're so ethnic more than they are Christian.
Yeah.
They really
and the
are.
The Georgians are Eastern Orthodox and the Armenians are Oriental Orthodox, and so they disagree about the Council of Chalcedon, which you could guess my thoughts on that. But
the Trinity destroying the world again.
The Trinity and Christology tearing Christianity apart since 325 AD. Yeah.
Yeah. Armenia has historically ruled Georgia and Greater Armenia. Yeah, well.
Anyway, I should go sometime soon, but you're blackpilling me a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what my specifics of what I was hoping for, but what about some just sort of popular movement that is just sort of interested in something like a secular republic, and America being able to help that enough to come into fruition and come into power?
Yeah, you have to have some sort of infrastructure. You have to have some figurehead, some leader of that movement, and there's nobody.
Yeah. Yep. What about some of those moderate people who lost presidential races who are in jail or stuff like that?
So
really not all of them are dead.
I mean, that's the question of Rouhani or Khomeini, both of which are considered. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even listen to what Jadal had to say, but they were like, so, like, yeah, I guess I should probably listen to what Jadal had to say and see what he was predicting. Obviously, he's going to predict that. He's going to predict that the Islamic Republic is going to withstand this, but until we know who's alive, how are we going to know?
But I mean, I think that Israel and the U.S. right now are mostly destroying Iran's ability to attack outside of its borders, which makes the most sense. And to control your own population, sometimes you don't need much more than pickup trucks and AK-47s. But sometimes to overthrow a regime, you don't need much more than pickup trucks and AK-47s.
Yeah, but where are you going to get the AK-47s?
Israel and the U.S. could, try and anoint some faction and get the weapons into them. Wouldn't be too hard since we're friends with almost all of their neighbors, and we now have direct ocean access, and we don't need to worry about the regime shooting at us. So just meet us on the coast.
Yeah, but how do you know who you're giving it to? Who do you know who you're giving it to, and who actually has militias and actually knows how to use guns?
Yeah. Interesting. I still just am amazed at Trump's ability to change what people imagined was possible.
Yeah. I have no updates on the besiege, but I don't know how you can update people on soccer hooligans for Islam.
Some soccer hooligans. Try and put some soccer hooligans in charge.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I listened to.
How about the Baha'is?
What?
Can we? How about the Baha'is? A good persecuted minority who all trusts each other. Yeah, anoint the Baha'is and have them meet us on the coast, and we'll give them.
I think they're religiously opposed to military.
Yeah, they're probably pacifists. Yeah, they're probably universalist pacifist sort of people. All right, we need to find the militant wing of the Baha'is.
I mean, the best case scenario is actually what Yoav asked me about it, and I thought, I started talking about it, and I'm like, hey, this might not be as crazy as I thought, which is Bandar Abbas is the biggest port, most important port in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
It is on the coast of the Gulf.
Yep.
There's a lot of Arabs there.
Isn't it on an island?
Bandar Abbas itself, I don't think it's on the island, but there are islands there. There's a lot of islands there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, there are some Emiratis and Arabs who might want to, encroach on Persian property. And if the Arabs were to, make a beachhead for Pahlavi in Bandar Abbas, and there's a road straight up to Tehran.
Yeah.
That might be a beachhead worth supporting.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
it's a little Bay of Pigsy, but
very Bay of Pigsy, very. And again, it appears Mohammed bin Salman has kind of gone, I'm not sure I want Israel and Pahlavi cozying up to each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, why doesn't one of the Gulf states just take over things?
So that was my idea for Gaza and the West Bank was take one of MBS's cousins and make them king of Palestine.
Yeah.
That might work.
Could work. It's so funny. I've been reading my daughters a children's book of Alexander the Great, written by Dominic Sandbrook, one of the hosts of Rest is History. And so this morning I read my kids about Alexander the Great's victory at the Battle of Gaugamela, which was when Persia was reputed to have something close to 1 million troops, and the Alexanders had about 50,000 troops, and won the battle in a few hours and only suffered a few hundred casualties.
How did that happen?
So Alexander, like the Persian king Darius III knew Alexander was coming, because Alexander had already beaten him in Turkey and beaten his vassals in Turkey, and then beaten him face to face in Lebanon. And then he had fled back to Babylon. And then Alexander took over Egypt, recruited some more troops, and then marched from Egypt and went to the very battlefield that Darius had picked. Like, this is where my advantage is. This is where my chariots are good and stuff like that. So it was a home game of home games. And Alexander was just like, well, their troops are going to be terrified of us. He's recruited these from all over his empire. They're not that loyal to him. My troops love me, and we are good at following instructions. And he led his own cavalry, like Alexander himself, to the far right flank to get part of the Persian flank to chase him. And that opened up a gap in the front lines. And so he then turned around and piled straight into this gap right at Darius. And Darius got scared. Alexander literally threw a spear and killed Darius's own driver of his chariot. Almost killed Darius himself, and then Darius turned the chariot around and fled, and then all of the Persians dropped their weapons and turned around and fled, and then the Greeks just slaughtered them in the back and then marched into Babylon. And it was crazy that I read this, and then I read the news. I'm like, this is the worst Persian military day since whatever it was, October 1st, 331 AD or something like that.
I don't know. The 12-Day War, honestly, the humiliation of the 12-Day War is a large reason why what Iran is as weak as it is now. And frankly, I was hoping Trump would just let them cook for a bit longer, at least another month or so, because what was becoming evident was the regime had no ability to to allow for free internet again. Life was not going back to normal, right? And so while the United States was there, it's a pressure cooker, but life was not going back to normal. I don't know. I mean, Yoav thinks check and mate. Yoav trusts in Bibi's understanding a little bit better than I do. Yosef apparently has news. What's your news, Yosef? I am going to post the link in case anybody was waiting for me to post the link, because I thought I had posted the link. But I don't know what's going to happen, and it matters a lot who's alive and who's dead. Iran's official news agency IRNA says a leadership council made up of the president, the judiciary chief, and a jurist from the Guardian Council will temporarily assume the duties of leadership.
Who are those?
Who's still alive from the leadership council, the judiciary, and the Guardian Council? That's the question. Who's still alive?
I don't know.
I'm not sure anybody knows who's alive.
They probably, they don't know themselves. We don't know. Even Bibi might not know who's still alive.
Even Bibi might not know who's alive in Iran, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I would be interested in knowing is if they attacked Imam Khomeini's mausoleum because if they killed Khomeini's grandson, who's the cleric there, he's officially the head of his grandfather's mausoleum, that would actually be sad. But God knows what he's doing better than any of us know. Trump says he knows, though. Yeah, I'm not sure I believe everything Trump has ever said.
Believe it or not, I think he has made some false or exaggerated statements.
Well, I am wearing my MAGA hat, and I did get what I voted for.
Like I said, I'm sure you and I could gripe about Trump, his personality and decisions that we didn't agree with and policies, whatever. But his ability to magically make things happen that didn't seem possible, like I said earlier, continues to astound me. And he seems to be at least 2 or 3 steps ahead of his enemies. And there's just some new reality afoot in terms of the U.S. and Israel's ability to just do things. And our opponents have really never seemed weaker. Some of it must be due to increased technological precision of rockets and missiles from planes and drones and intelligence and all of that. And I don't know, some of it is Russia being weak and no longer able to prop up these people. But there is a new world afoot, and it's coming to places where I didn't expect faster.
You should not underestimate the impact. Yetzirah, that means exit. It says Yetzirah behind him. I believe it says Yetzirah behind him. Does it say Yetzirah behind you, Yoav? Yes. Yetzirah means exit. Because somebody is apparently currently in a shelter. Stay safe. And Shavua Tov. What I was going to say, do not underestimate the impact of the internet being available in countries where people never understood that American movies actually portray real life as opposed to in the Soviet Union, people did not realize that people in the United States lived how we live.
Right.
Now,
like if you watch Bollywood movies, you would think that India was the most spectacular place ever, but it's like the 1% of the 1% and still an imaginary version of that. But yeah, you watch Mean Girls and it's like that actually is a high school. That is what things are like.
And actually, like you get like things in the United States actually appear a little worse than the vast majority of us live.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, because we focus on the gritty and gangsters and yeah. Married with Children
makes life seem a lot worse than it actually is for the average American.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yoav's connection is not great from the bomb shelter that he's in.
Mm. So how long will Iran still have the ability to even shoot missiles at Israel? Like I imagine
hopefully not any, like I think the first round of bombings was definitely decapitating as much as they could and debilitating the capacity of Iran to do anything.
The radars and the interception stuff and all of that.
And the missiles and the Navy so that they can't and then they're I mean, if there's a commando raid to be done, Evin prison. See, the thing we talked about this, like if you try to take Evin prison, you would be lucky if the guards all flee. More likely, they're going to just start executing,
killing or blow the whole building up.
Yeah. Liquidating the prison. Yeah. So if you can actually liberate Evin prison, somehow,
Mm-hmm.
that might be the most useful thing you could possibly do.
Interesting. And I presume that that's the political prisoner
Yes.
prison.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there are apparently tens of thousands of people there.
Tens of thousands.
In the 80s, they executed 3,000 people who were there. Just decided mass executions and just started hanging people.
Well, over the past few weeks, hasn't Iran killed, like 50,000? That's sort of the number I've heard.
I think the actual numbers are probably closer to 20 to 30,000. Verified numbers are over 6,000. They're investigating another 11,000. But part of what happened was, first of all, tens of thousands of people apparently lost eyes and stuff. And they were shooting people. They were shooting into crowds with shotguns. And they were executing people in the hospital. So people were not going to the hospital.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really hard to know exactly what happened.
Crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, I saw videos. They were using vehicle-mounted heavy machine guns on crowds.
Crazy.
Okay,
And probably not rubber bullets.
Shalom aleichem, Yoav. Ma shlomcha?
I'm fine. I've been in the shelter for a long time. This war doesn't behave like any other. Usually you will get to the shelter once or twice a day,
Mm-hmm.
and this is continuous. Not much damage, but it is continuous air raids.
Mm.
So we are spending quite a lot of time in the shelter in this war.
Are you playing hooky from the shelter, or is it actually a between air raid sirens?
Playing what?
Hooky, meaning you should be in the shelter right now, but you decided not to.
No, not in this war. This war, there's a difference between Houthi missiles and Iranian missiles. You don't play with Iranian missiles. Don't play games.
Yeah.
Is Iran still shooting missiles?
Yes. I hear some fake news from sources about us not being able to intercept them.
Yeah.
Iran has been shooting hundreds, upwards of 200 missiles at us. And we have one bad direct hit. So the interception rate is above the 90s.
Wow. But Iran's ballistic missiles are probably of a much higher speed and sophistication than whatever Gaza could shoot.
It's not Gaza, it's the Houthis that we were fighting last time. I mean, after Gaza, we were fighting the Houthis.
Yeah.
And it was the Houthis missile that were weak.
Yeah, but Iran kept the best stuff for themselves.
Yeah, we're talking about perhaps half a ton of explosive. So,
but you've only heard of one missile that landed on target
and caused significant casualties.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if it lands in the street between houses, then you have a few cars burned, but you have no casualties because everybody is in the shelter.
Yeah.
But there was one direct hit.
Grok tells me that one woman in Israel has been killed.
Yeah. And there were about 20 seriously wounded in that incident.
It's saying over 120 injured, mostly light, some moderate.
The mostly light injuries are just people rushing to the shelter and tripping on things. These are the hundreds. Real casualties from the missile itself is in a few dozen, 2 dozens.
Anybody heard from Chazi? What's up with him?
I
Not
did not hear from Chazi. Jerusalem was targeted, but not hit.
So Yoav,
But it's not in Jerusalem.
What do you think will happen next, Yoav?
Okay. When I was commenting Check and Mate, I was commenting to your story and wanted to add a story onto it. This war, well, I'm not the expert, and I mean the idea of going through Bandar Abbas was raised by our English friends, not by me. I was asking the questions, but I was not giving any answers. Absolutely no, I'm not an expert on the Persian people. As everybody says, it's up to them. And I think we have been, we had a month or two to trickle weapons to some key factors. Don't need a lot of weapons. I think we have trickled some weapons somewhere, but I have no idea what's going to happen. Anyway, nobody can predict anything. Nobody can predict the current situation just 3 days ago. Sorry not to be helpful.
No, well, I mean, I don't think anyone has a great answer.
So I will give you the story that I wanted to give you about. You described one battle with Alexander.
Yeah.
Alexander was following the experience of the 10,000, the Anabasis story. And that was a generation before him. And that was the expedition that proved to him that it's possible to conquer Persia. Because there was an expedition before him that didn't mean to do any harm. It just some Greeks that sort of by some kind of political mishap happened to be in the middle of Iraq. So there were actually two warring kings, two warring shahs, the two sons of the dead shah. And one of them recruited a lot of Greek in phalanxes. And they had the Battle of Cunexa just where now the airport of Baghdad is. And it was the same story with both parties trying to eliminate the Shah. If you eliminate the Shah, the battle is over. I mean, both Persian sides. So one brother was trying to kill the other. But the Greek was playing completely different games. They were playing checkers. And in checkers, what you care is to keep your flank covered. And it was by the river. So they kept marching parallel to the river to have one flank protected. So it was a story of the Greek doing the battle their way, marching along the river, and the Persian going at each other. And it exactly the moment that one brother killed the other is when the battle stopped. And the Greeks just didn't realize what's happening. Like, where is everybody?
Interesting. Yeah. I feel like America's living in a world where we can play checkers and everyone else is stuck, or we can play chess and everyone else is stuck playing checkers. I mean, I still think, at least from the American perspective, the real big showdown that hopefully will never have to be a showdown is with China. And that getting rid of the thorns in our sides will help free our attention to be able to be fully present to put pressure on China and prevent them from taking Taiwan. I still think that that's sort of the end game of all of this in Trump or Rubio's mind. That if we can, like if you're China, the goal, if you're taking Taiwan, is to just make the U.S. really distracted by problems everywhere and problems that are close to home. And then you can have breathing room and a vacuum to try and do what you want. But if America can concentrate on you, then there's no way that China could do what they want. It would just be too risky. And go ahead.
That was my idea about solving the situation in Iran, because as I see the great game, Iran belongs to China.
Yep.
And I think if the Americans should be smart enough to say that the Americans have enough oil, just give Iran to China and let China buy their way into controlling the country.
And well, I think that that's kind of what China had been doing. But the problem is that Iran's actually quite a big ways away from China, or at least as a boat needs to sail full of oil. But China's greatest weakness is its energy dependency. Right? They import something like 70-80% of their energy, and Iran was one of their biggest suppliers. And so if you can control their sources of energy, or at least a lot of them, then you have the ability to turn off the tap on China. And so if things ever get going, you can only fight a war for so long without 70% of your oil.
Yeah, I think Trump wants a win-win with China, and I think he will give them Iran for peace. That's at least what I hope is going to happen.
I think that he wants control of Iran, and then that's extra leverage to ensure peace. I think that seems like a safer.
Okay, a deal can be, we are holding Iran, but we are guaranteeing you a safe passage of oil.
Yes.
The Chinese will be happy with that.
And now at a fair market price, because previously China was able to get Iranian oil below market price because of all the sanctions. And so if Iran comes back online, but they're no longer sanctioned because there's some American-friendly regime, Iran would be happy because now they can sell their oil at the higher market price, and China would be less happy because they have to pay the market price, but that's a win-win in America's eyes.
Well, that's the art of the deal. I mean, this is what Trump's supposed to be good at. I mean, they have to reach a price that will be okay with both sides, with three sides.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, well, Cuba's next. The boats can take care of Cuba on their way back home from Iran. And then North Korea needs to be on notice. Obviously, North Korea has nuclear weapons, but that doesn't prevent a helicopter from picking you up at night.
So while you guys were talking, I was interrogating Grok to see how many of the 25 people I was hoping would be dead are dead. And apparently only 2 of them are.
It's only 2 days.
I guess, but those 23 people, if all of them were dead, it would be very, very difficult for the Islamic Republic to reconstitute itself. If even most of them were dead, it would be difficult for them to reconstitute themselves. But with only 2 of them dead, of course, it's the 2 most important members who are dead. But well, no, not even the 2 most important members are dead. One of the most important members is dead. It's not. We haven't decapitated the snake. Let's put it that way.
But like Yoav said, stage 1 is take away their offensive missiles. Stage 2 is get rid of their radars and air defense systems. And then you have free reign of the skies.
You do, but you also, I can't, I'm guessing everybody is running for the hills. I mean,
that's true. And Iran does have a lot of hills.
Yep.
It's a big country. It's hard to find people if they want to hide.
Yeah, but they are not. They're not spiritually there. If they're stuck in a cave in the hills, they're worth nothing.
That's true. It's hard to affect the political future if you're hiding in a cave.
The thing is, in order for there to be, supposedly the next Ayatollah is chosen by the 88-member Expediency Council, but really it's the 12-member Guardian Council that I was hoping would be basically gone, and apparently none of the people on it have been murdered. Killed. I'm not sure I would call it murder to kill them, but whatever.
The theory that I've heard is that you eliminate the air defense, cause some damage, and then offer a surrender. And if the surrender doesn't come, you bring the bombers, because you haven't got the big bombers into the state yet, just the light craft and the missiles. Once you bring in, once it's safe, you bring in the big bombers, and then you just wipe one factory after another.
Wow, the New York Times did it. The New York Times wrote an obituary more friendly to Khamenei than they would to any Republican.
Yeah, but or even Scott Adams.
Yeah, then even Scott Adams, exactly.
Yeah. Austere religious leader Scott Adams.
Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, hardline cleric who made Iran a regional power, dies at 86. No, he did not make Iran a regional power. He reduced Iran from being a regional power to being a piece of shit.
Iran has always been a regional power on its worst days.
Yeah, and they, yeah.
Iran regional power since 2000 BC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask the Elamites. Where are the Elamites?
Oh man, I should go to bed soon. But good talking to you, Jacob. Yoav, stay safe.
Later.
All right. Goodbye.
So tell me again, who are these funny guys that you visited twice already?
So the whole just chatting idea came from the fact that other people run open panels all over YouTube for it's been going on for a long time. And Confluence is somebody whose open panel I went on, and he seems like a nice guy, and he is a nice guy. And the people there generally have never met a Jew, which is interesting. And he's a bit of a too much of a light touch, I think, in terms of moderating his panel. But that allows him to get a bunch of people, and he does get a bunch of people. And I don't know, I've done a few live streams and nobody comes on, and I don't like just monologuing. So I started going on his panels, and the first time I tried to because he didn't have stream to your audience turned on. I tried to jerry rig it, but it didn't work very well. You saw that. And then I got him to open up his stream to your, and I did that. And it's interesting. It's more interesting than sitting here talking to myself. But I mean, tonight people wanted to actually hear me talk about serious stuff, so I did my own stream now. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't sound very respectful people, but
they're not. Especially, I mean, I don't know why. Like Confluence, he's a nice guy, but I think he needs a little bit more backbone. He's actually like really good at his. I I mean, it's the panel where I mean, Confluence seems like a really nice guy. I like Confluence, and it's only his particular channel. A lot of the other open panel places, they tend to be bigger and they tend to have multiple people running it, and yeah, I like Confluence. He seems like a nice guy.
Okay.
Yeah, his
Anyway.
peanut gallery I'm not a huge fan of, but
So you say it's every day the same hour?
yeah, so he streams 6 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is, again, I'm probably out of work for the time being.
Oh, you could go on his open panel. That would be interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, if I'm really bored.
Yeah. Yosef, I'm hoping you're feeling better. And IKEA, try being a little nicer to people, or I might actually take your wrench away. And you won't like that because there's enough people with wrenches who will actually smack you down.
Yoav can just run an open panel here.
You could.
Well, it doesn't work in this kind of war when I have to rush to the shelter every 5 minutes.
That is also true. Yeah.
I know.
Lance, you're not going to jump on? Lance is leaving us. And we didn't even talk about the fact that it's Parshat Zachor.
Yes, I didn't talk about it being Parashat Zachor. Yes, I'm listening at a lot of Channel 14. It's about every second sentence they make.
Parshat Zachor, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I will ever open my own channel. I think there are too many channels in the world.
Honestly, yeah. It's part of the reason I go on Confluence's channel. I kind of prefer not having. Yeah. Don wants you to explain Parshat Zachor to the Gentiles.
They will never get it.
Yeah, you will never get it.
Well, it's a swear word. If you really hate somebody, you call him Amalek.
This is true.
This is how it works. So I have heard some Jews call other Jews Amalek. So
yes,
don't get too much insulted if anybody ever calls you Amalek. Anyway, Amalek is the one you have to kill.
Yes. And Parshat Zachor is one of the special Torah readings. So you know how Christians have Advent Sunday or whatever, where they have special readings. So we have special readings on certain weeks. And according to most rabbis, the one reading a year you actually are required by the Torah to attend is the one before Purim, which is when we read Zachor, which is reminds us.
Remember. Yeah. Zachor is remember.
Yes.
So you read the chapter that says remember. So it is ordering you to remember. So you read it.
Yes. Remember what Amalek did to you on your way through to Israel during the Exodus. Yes. And remember to blot them out. And that was this week's Parsha. Because Purim is in 2 days.
Okay, so I have something to say. We were reading the Bible as we always do on Thursday. And we come across quite a nasty chapter where there's a siege and people have to eat their own babies because they are starving. And we had two visitors, the father and daughter, the Thorpes, and they are Catholic. And the daughter confessed that, being a new one, she hasn't really read the Old Testament very carefully yet. So I warned her that there is heresy waiting at the door there, because once you read about the Old Testament God, you, as a Christian, and as a modern person, you really start doubting either his sanity or his good intentions. Like causing a siege and having people eating their own babies, for example. So when you read about the commandment, you actually commanded to kill all Amalek, children, and even their cattle. And you should start wondering, who is this God that is commanding me such? Very hard to walk that path without stumbling.
You're welcome. No, what are we going to talk about now?
I don't know.
We could listen to Jadal, but it's in Farsi. How's your Farsi, Yoav?
No, not very good. I could go back to that Bible study on Thursday. As we read chapter after chapter, I think there are pieces of a jigsaw falling into place, and there's kind of a picture emerging that is sort of behind this scene. It starts with the conquest of Moab, when it's the way they came through that river, and there was no water, and there was water, and then they managed to go up to Moab. It looked as if they had some kind of help from the inside, but it was a suspicion that sort of rose into me. And then, just a couple of chapters later, the king of Aram says it out loud, that he feels that the Israeli spies within his own court. And people are reassuring him, no, it's just that they have very good magicians, and they can see the future. And when you add this to the story of Naaman, the minister of the army of Aram, who actually became Jewish a chapter before that, and go back to the story of Elijah the prophet. He come from the Gilad, which is just between the states of Aram and Moab. So he was probably speaking fluent Moabite, and he just came to wander up among the Israelis, never really connecting to, not setting any roots in Israel. Became kind of a monk. And then when he disappears on the eastern bank of the Jordan. Last seen on the eastern bank of the Jordan. And he's never dead. He's supposed to be alive to this day. And then things happen in Moab, and then these things happen in Aram. And I'm starting to wonder, what is this book telling me? I know what it was supposed to be telling me, what I learned in school, but what is this book really trying to tell me? And I realized the actual book was written generations later with a religious purpose, with a PR purpose, by some fraction of some people. And they were referring to a story that people knew that was true. Because the basic story that is told in Kings 2 is historically proven. The kingdom of Arab existed and the kingdom of Israel existed. And they had wars and people got killed. So, okay, what is on the lower layer? What is the historical story that the Book of Kings is referring to and just alluding to? And more specifically, what was the internal politics in Israel at the time? And you see that the relationship between the prophet Elisha and the king are tense but correct. They consult each other. The prophet is considered a respectable person. Is he conferring with the elders? Is always there when interesting things happening. And when a woman approaches him with a request for help, he said, if you want me to whisper a good word for you in court, I can do that. So it looks to me like two parties within the Israeli aristocracy, one sort of centering around the prophets and one centering around the kings, which are in tense but working relations with each other and having different views about how Judaism should Judaism should develop. I think this is what it was all about there and then. End of speech.
End of speech. Okay, I guess we can watch this video now. They are singing Misha Nichnas Adar Marbim Basimcha. This is in the UK, by the way. I have no idea where they got all the Persian flags from. Golders Green is a Jewish, Orthodox Jewish neighborhood in London. So there you go. Okay, and the Democrats are being stupid. Why do we have Democrats? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. How do people vote for Democrats, Yoav? Why?
Well, as the rumor goes, they don't actually have to vote for the Democrats for things to go on.
Adam says, what I learned from Elijah's lore is the model for souls is that there is a pantheon of born humans becoming eternal, but not eternal souls incarnating as human. I'm not sure I agree with that.
I don't understand how you learned it from Elijah, but maybe I'm missing a chapter or two.
Adam has his own way of viewing things, I've noticed.
So do I.
There were apparently there's a Twitter handle is Khamenei alive, and he posted no 10 hours ago.
There is an official Khamenei Twitter handle.
Apparently he okay, I am very, very disappointed in Malala Yousafzai's stupid tweet, which I'm not going to even bother to show. Okay, let's see what Khamenei's. I think apparently Khamenei's Twitter was actually tweeting today. Let's see. 3 hours ago, in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, among the faithful are men who fulfill what they have pledged to Allah. There are some among them who have fulfilled their pledge, and some of them who still wait, and they have not changed in the least. Holy Quran 33:23. And somebody's proposed a community note. Dead men tell no tales. 101,000 likes, 13,000 comments, and 5 million views. 5.5 million views. Yeah. No. I see pictures of how to die in Torah, and I think you can decide which role model's death you want. That is not the role of Torah. Basically, Elijah can be anyone, or perhaps anyone can become a new Elijah. Anyone can become a new Elijah, maybe. To be honest, kind of a fumble for Israel to take out Khomeini. Well, no, you mean Khamenei, not Khomeini. And not the Guardian Council, target the power brokers and princelings rather than the old feeble king. Yeah, I actually think Khamenei was probably not the target. I think they hit his compound and he happened to be there and died. I would be very surprised if they deliberately killed him. I don't see there being a reason to deliberately kill him. Yeah. Not much, at least. But he's dead. So.
Okay, so Panda person have heard the news. Good.
My thoughts are we have no idea how long this is going to be. Do you have any idea how long you think this will be?
I thought it was going to be short.
Shorts, as in 1 day shorts, as in 7 days, 14 days,
Less than 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah, because the American pilots wants to go back home. I mean, I guess lots of them are really okay with what they're doing and sort of happy it is them that they're doing it. But after a while, they just want to go home.
If it was just going to be 3 days, I don't think Israel would have been involved.
As I said, there will be 3 days and then the offer of surrender.
Surrender? Who's going to surrender?
Whoever remains alive. I don't know. I mean, that is the thought that I hear. But
Is that what they're saying on Channel 14?
Don't know where I heard it, but anyway, it's why 3 days? Because that is the time that it takes you to completely dismantle the air defense.
Okay.
After 3 days, you can fly in the bombers.
Okay.
And then you say, well, it's either you surrender or we bring in the big guns. And then you don't need so many planes around.
What does a surrender look like? Let's say they agree to surrender. Like, what are they surrendering?
That's I think the 3 parts. No nuclear weapons, no ballistic missiles, no supporting terrorism. That's a piece of paper easy to sign.
Yeah.
And then, what are the plans about the regime change? I don't know if anybody has a plan. I mean, just they say we leave it to the Persian people and let them make their move.
If it was just that piece of paper, Khamenei would have signed that piece of paper in Geneva yesterday.
I don't think they wanted to sign.
The piece of paper has to have details. What does it mean not to have a nuclear weapon?
Some kind of.
You're going to have inspection regimes. You're going to have this. Who's going to be running Iran? It's the details.
Oh no, they won't say that. Just the inspection regime. I mean, it's not just making sure that you're not doing anything new, just making sure that you dismantle everything. And the piece of paper will not mention who is in charge, and that would be that's a complete second chapter. How do we? That's the question we didn't answer the last time. How do you actually cause the regime change? And you said it would help if you struck down symbols. Okay, so we struck down symbols. So we've done that part, and now we leave it. We leave it to the Persian people. I guess that I don't know what other plans are there. That there must be extremely convoluted.
I could only imagine this is going to be at least a couple of weeks long.
Of what? Of what's happening? I mean, if there are no air defenses over the country, I mean, as for now, they dismantled the air defenses in only the western half of the country. So it's another day and a half to dismantle the air defense in the east part. And then you just start bombing things in the east. And then what? I mean,
bomb the besieged, bomb the IRGC, bomb.
Okay. Are there any roadblocks and besiege going about in Tehran at the moment?
Roadblocks? I don't.
You know, I mean, is the besiege on the street stifling a demonstration and doing roadblocks in Tehran?
Yes. when there were the protests in the universities, the Basij was showing up and dispersing the protests.
Yeah, that was before. But
You
today,
mean right now? At
Right
this
now,
moment? No.
yeah. So I say, get out some drones and kill any Basij roadblock that you happen to meet on the way. And
These are people in plain clothes. How are you going to?
not when they are not when they have on a machine gun on a van, or not when they're making a roadblock, and not when they are two on a motorcycle. They could be just picked out one by one.
Honestly, I suppose America and Israel have enough intelligence in Iran to be able to, from the air, take out even besieged members, individual.
Yeah, you don't need too much of intelligence. I mean, we were doing it very well in Gaza, but let's say that Gaza is equal in area to Tehran. You fly a couple of drones over the city,
Yeah.
and they see something suspicious. That stuff, you send some killer drones, and they kill it.
Tehran appears to be a good 10 miles wide.
So it's about as wide as all of the Gaza Strip. It's doable with drones. You can control Tehran with drones once you eliminated the air defense. Just make sure there are no people with machine guns on vans. You see a van. I mean, this is what we're doing in Gaza. We saw people with machine guns on vans. We destroyed the van.
I didn't realize how central Yusufabad, which is where I lived, was in Tehran. I guess Tehran must have grown up quite a bit over the past 50 years.
Yeah, that's my neighbor's problem. We used to be right on the edge of the city. And now the city has come to visit us. We had a very nice democratic process on Thursday.
Yeah.
We had a direct democracy meeting of all of the neighborhood in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not all of the neighborhood arrived, let's say 1 in 5. And we discussed the problem. We had city calling us if somebody's opening a hamburger restaurant in the otherwise quiet neighborhood. And it's a cause of much dirt because Israelis are not very clean hamburger eaters.
Okay.
Get leftovers all over the place, and parking, and noise. So there was, and we have an acting committee elected once every year.
Mm-hmm.
So the acting committee came up with a proposal to, in cooperation of City Hall, to limit parking in the neighborhood. Because tradition was, if not a legal state, that is the land property is ours. So the city has no authority of levying parking fines. So the plan was to cede control to the City Hall, so they could control parking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what eliminate the traffic to the hamburger restaurant. And I'm glad to say that the majority of the population saw the trap. Once you cede your property to City Hall, you never get it back. So we say we better suffer the dirt and noise and problems of the hamburger restaurants than cede control of our territory.
Sounds very, very local.
Yeah, which has always some global, not global, but more general political repercussions, because it turns out that the current local acting committee is of the same political tendency as City Hall. So they would find it easy to communicate with each other. While people with slightly different political views will be less trustful in the negotiation.
So I'm looking at Tehran, and I stumbled upon the Association of Iranian Short-Statured Adults.
Okay.
Is there a Tel Aviv?
No,
Tel Aviv
not that I know of.
Association of Short-Statured Adults?
We have a shortage of that.
Okay, people. I am
Yeah.
getting tired. What time is it in Eretz Israel right now?
8 a.m. Just time for me to catch a good.
I woke up this morning and I had a bunch of texts and messages. And I had to go to work. And I went to work and I came home and I went over to the protests. Spent a short time there. Took my dog to the dog park, and then I came and I've been streaming for a while now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna practice my bass clarinet.
Your bass clarinets. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you with this song.
رضا پهلوی وارث تاج ایران، انتظارمون روز شاهیته، سرفرازیمون پادشاهیته.
زن زندگی آزادی، مرد میهن آبادی، جاوید شاه، جاوید شاه.
این ملت آزادی میخواد، به جای غم شادی میخواد، ایران آزاد شکوه دیرین میخواد.
زن زندگی آزادی، مرد میهن آبادی، جاوید شاه، جاوید شاه. مردم ایران بازگشت تو را از خود میخوان،
ایران آزاد میشه شاه برمیگرده این آخرین نبرده پهلوی برمیگرده
زن زندگی آزادی مرد میهن آبادی
جاوید شاه
این آخرین نبرد پهلوی برمیگرده
جاوید شاه
جاوید شاه
پهلوی برمیگرده
جاوید